of October. The online fashion retailer ASOS has blamed inflationary pressures on consumers, an increase in return rates and higher sea freight rates after falling into the red. The company reported a pre-tax loss of £31.9 million for the year to the end of August. That compared with a profit of £177.1 million during the previous 12 months, when it benefited from lockdown restrictions closing high street competitors. Well, ASOS, which last year bought the Topshop and Topman businesses, also blamed an increase in inventory as a result of supply chain delays. And the Swiss food and drink giant Nestlé said this morning it expects sales for the year to be better than expected after pushing through its biggest price increases in decades. The owner of brands such as Nescafé, Perrier, Aero, KitKat and Smarties said that sales during the first 9 months of the year were up 9.2% to 69.1 billion Swiss francs, that's £61.4 billion. It said that organic growth, which strips out the impact of currency movements and acquisitions, was up 8.5%, of which 7.5% was due to price increases. Well, earlier this year, Netflix shocked investors when it admitted it had lost subscribers for the first time in more than a decade. In the first half of this year, it shed some 1.2 million customers. But in the latest quarter, it has more than made up for that, signing up 2.4 million subscribers between July and September, helping it reclaim from Disney Plus the crown of the world's largest video streaming service. Well, shares of Netflix, which have more than halved in value since the start of the year, rose by 14% in after-hours trading. Well, join me to discuss this story and some of the other tech companies reporting this week is Saranga Chandratilaka. He's a general partner at the venture capital firm Boulderton Capital. Saranga, welcome to you. I mean, Netflix announced earlier this year it was cracking down on password sharing. Is that one of the factors that's helped stop the rot?
Yeah, I think that's definitely made a big difference. But the biggest issue, I think, is content, right? At the end of the day, Netflix is a media company. It's a fast-growing, tech-driven media company, but it's a media company, and content is king. And, we've seen a number of great shows this year, including the latest season of Stranger Things, for example, that have really buoyed subscription levels.
Yeah, it's a big favourite with my daughter, that one. The company increasingly now seems focused on profitability. Is it even not going to publish subscriber numbers once it's got its new ad-funded model launched? Does this make it more of a mature, more traditional media company now, do you feel?
Yeah, I think it's a sign that they are becoming a more traditional media company. It's a shame that they won't go with subscription numbers. Obviously, you can understand why, right? You saw the stock reaction earlier this year when they had the subscriber numbers drop. And I think they've been desperate to figure out a way to sort of remove themselves from having to report that number. It ends up being a noose around your neck if you're not careful. But it means that, a bit like some of the other big tech companies, in some ways they're becoming more opaque and harder to understand, which will make it harder for all of us who are on the outside.
That's a very interesting point you make. Well, let's talk about some of the other companies reporting this week. Obviously, we hear from Tesla this evening. Yeah. Very premium range of products. To what extent do you think they may be hit by the cost of living crisis around the world?
Look, you have to assume that Tesla and Apple and companies like that sell relatively expensive products that are not as essential as the food and drink that we've just been hearing about on the show are going to be affected by inflation. Whether that's filtered into numbers yet is the question, and I think that's really hard to tell. But you have to assume that if inflation continues, if cost of living continues to be a strain for most people, then expensive acquisitions that you can maybe push off by 6 months or a year will probably get pushed off by a while.
Now, Tesla, obviously, Elon Musk, the CEO, he's obviously got this bid going on for Twitter at the moment. How much of a distraction do you think that's been for him?
It's got to be a huge distraction, right? I think it's, on the one hand, you have to give it to Elon Musk for being able to run two very large companies in parallel, SpaceX and Tesla, and that seems to have been something he's achieved without really any detriment to either business. But adding more and more of these things, not only has there been the saga around the acquisition, is it on, is it off with Twitter, but if it goes through, he will then be the owner of Twitter as well. So that's a third large company he's looking after. So at some point, you'd assume that he's going to run out of time in the day just to manage things. But again, we haven't seen any sign of that yet.
Absolutely. We're talking of social media. We're here tomorrow from Snap. This is the first social media company to update the market. A lot of interest in this one.
Yeah, Snap. Snap is the one that obviously has been hit hardest this year by far from a stock market point of view. And I think they've really struggled. They're squashed in between Meta and particularly Facebook and Instagram products, which are very popular with slightly older people. And of course, on the other hand, TikTok, which is increasingly popular with younger people, especially in the US. Snap's really squashed in the middle, and they've had a torrid year for that. They've got some really exciting product ideas about what comes next, but whether the market will actually believe in those or whether it's going to ask for, profits and revenues today is another question.
Now, we've seen some big tech firms, for example, Microsoft, cutting jobs in recent weeks. Is that starting to infiltrate the parts of the market in which you're investing?
Yeah, I think it's very clear in the private markets, so the venture capital backed companies that we work with that, often very small, as little as 5 people all the way up to a few hundred people, they're all looking at what's going on in the public markets, and they know that it's going to affect them over time. In some cases, again, things like inflation are affecting demand. So we've seen layoffs, we've seen job cuts, we've certainly seen job freezes in some companies, but it really depends on a company by company basis, right? Tech is so broad at this point that you can't just call it one industry. There's different kinds of tech selling different things to different people. In general, actually, enterprise software, so things a bit more like Microsoft, have fared fairly well so far because most businesses, particularly in the US, have come off 3-4 years of incredible profitability and productivity. And those sorts of companies are buying more software, not stopping buying. Consumer businesses generally have been harder hit.
Are you still feeling reasonably optimistic about investing then? Are you still seeing opportunities?
Yeah, we continue to see lots of opportunities. I'm actually really optimistic and enthusiastic about technology. If you look at technology across Europe and particularly here in the UK, we're in a very different world to where we were 10, 15 years ago. So many more new startups, so many more bright people building their own companies. And I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. And actually, if you look historically, some of the best investments ever were made in downturns like the one that we're entering right now. So here at Bolton, we're excited about what we might find in the next 12 months.
Nice to have a positive note on which to end. Saranga, it's good to see you again. Thanks for joining me today.
You too. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Well, still to come here on Ian King Live. We'll have a look at how the markets are doing this Wednesday morning. Don't go away.
PM.
9 p.m.
is the time for debate. Time for discussions.
Net zero means
Time for answers.
The evidence is there.
Time to join the conversation.
I really hated it.
To try and make sense of issues that affect you.
9 PM.
9 p.m.
9 PM
Is the soundtrack to your weeknights on Sky News.
9 PM.
Well, the market in gilts, UK government bonds, remains a key point of interest following recent market turmoil. The price of shorter-dated gilts has fallen this morning after the Bank of England confirmed it will start selling gilts from 1st of November, but only at the shorter end of the yield curve. Longer-dated gilts have actually slightly risen this morning in value. That means their yield has come down. On the foreign exchange markets, meanwhile, well, the pound continues to give back gains from earlier in the week. Sterling currently off by 0.2% against the US dollar, more or less unchanged right now, in fact, against the euro. On the equity markets, well, following gains on Wall Street last night, there was mixed trading in the Asia-Pacific region overnight. There were gains in Tokyo and in Sydney and in Mumbai as well, which isn't on the screen, but there were losses in Hong Kong and in Shanghai. But in Europe this morning, well, trading has been largely to the downside. As you can see, only the CAC 40 in France is in positive territory among the major European indices right now. Talking points this morning include ASML, the Dutch supplier of equipment to chip makers. It's up nearly 7% in Amsterdam. That is on the back of better than expected quarterly sales figures. Well, here in London, the FTSE 100 is in negative territory right now, off 0.25% in a broad-based sell-off. In terms of the percentage fallers, or the biggest blue chip fallers right now, are again the house builders, Persimmon and Taylor Wimpey, both in the doldrums. That follows the downbeat comments yesterday from their competitor, Bellway. There are not too many gainers in the FTSE to mention, but International Airlines Group, that's the owner, of course, of British Airways and Aer Lingus. The shares are up currently nearly 2%, following better than expected results last night from the US carrier United Airlines. Outside the FTSE, the fund manager Man Group, the shares off some 3% on a trading update, while similar factors have sent the subprime lender Provident Financial down by some 6%. As for the oil price, well, that fell yesterday for the third consecutive session, and it dropped below $90 a barrel overnight for the first time in more than 2 weeks. But as you can see, it's regained that particular milestone right now. A barrel of Brent crude will currently set you back $90.50 a barrel. That is up 0.5% on the day. Well, with me now is Guy Ellison. He's head of listed equities at Investec Wealth and Management. Guy, welcome to you. I mean, obviously, you're an equities man rather than a bond man, but I've got to ask you about gilts. Are you surprised that the bank is going ahead with QT on the 1st of November?
Yes, I think there was a widely trailed story in the Financial Times at the start of this week that they would defer that, and clearly, given the ructions that we've had in the bond market over the last month or so, you would have thought that the bank might have taken a more conservative line with regard to the timing of resuming QT, but I guess they want to get out there and test the market and see if liquidity and conditions really have improved.
Is that, I mean, obviously equity prices are to an extent influenced by bond yields. Is that going to influence the way you look at the market over coming weeks?
As much as it might have done earlier in the year, we've already seen such a sharp reset in the level of bond yields in the UK and in the US that modest incremental moves from here I think are now a secondary story with regard to equity levels and equity valuations compared to what's going on with those companies in terms of profitability and results.
Now, obviously, we're in the thick of earnings season in the US right now. We've already been discussing Netflix on the programme. What else has been catching your eye stateside?
Well, as you say, we're in the teeth of the third quarter results season, that period when pretty much all of the S&P 500 gives us an update on how they're faring. And so far, we've had just over 10% of the S&P 500 companies give us an update. And so far, it looks pretty good. Every set of results is important, but this set of results on the back of the very aggressive increases we've seen in interest rates in the US is even more significant. Some market participants are anticipating that at some point the higher level of interest rates in the US will start to weigh on consumer demand, consumer spending, and on corporate profitability. We thought that shoe might drop in the third quarter, but so far it hasn't. In particular, the results from the financial sector, which tends to be the first ones to update, have all been very reassuring with regard to the level of consumer credit and the level of payments that are being made on consumer balances.
Absolutely, yeah, there's been some fascinating stuff out there. Now, staying with this sort of theme, I mean, the Bank of America Fund Manager Survey is always worth a look. Came out this week. What were your conclusions from that?
Yes, you're right. It's a long-running survey that Bank of America has conducted. At the moment, it takes in the views and opinions of asset managers managing over $1 trillion of assets, and it helps inform Merrill Lynch's strategist view. And we have to say that so far this year, Merrill Lynch have called the movements in the market better than most. The survey this month suggests that we are getting pretty close to what is hopefully a capitulation point from several points of view. Firstly, from investor positioning, how cautious are the managers of those assets? Well, by historic levels, they're about as cautious as they ever have been. Cash positions being held are just over 6%. That's the highest that we've seen since back in 2001. And the weighting, the allocation to equities is many standard deviations below where we'd expect it normally to be. So investor positioning is cautious. Macro expectations are cautious. Everybody expects pretty widespread global recessions into 2023. The only thing we're waiting for now is that pivot in policy by central banks.
Yeah, I mean, are you saying then, Guy, that this is the darkest hour just before the dawn?
I wouldn't like to call the absolute bottom, but that adage is exactly right. It is always darkest before the dawn. I think Merrill Lynch's conclusion from the data that they're getting back in the survey is that we will see another leg down in markets in the first half of 2023, but that will be the turning point and the catalyst for a more sustained rally from there.
Oh yeah, it was a rotten question to put to you, Guy. Nice to see you again. Thank you. Well, still to come here on Ian King Live. We're going to be discussing how markets have made little progress towards the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals ahead of COP27. Stay with us.
With SendWave, you can send money to Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And the best part is, SendWave is absolutely commission-free. Our exchange rates are excellent. You can see for yourself by checking them out on our website. So how do you use SendWave? SendWave is an app that you can download onto your phone from the App Store or Google Play Store. The app is free to download. After downloading it, just open the app and enter your name, email, and phone number. That's it. You're good to go. Make sure you use the promo code SR. S for Starr, R for Radio. This promo code will give you £5 free credit to send to Africa on your first transaction. Your money will be delivered to your recipient within seconds. Feel free to call me on 0749 7377 647 at any time. I'll be happy to tell you all about SendWave and help you in any way I can. Remember to use the promo code SR for £5 free credit. Medasse.
Hi everyone, it's your girl BB Clement, the author of How to Go From Employee to Entrepreneur and the host of your weekly business show, BB Means Business, the show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Starr Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
Getting onto the property ladder has never been easy until now. Join us this and every Thursday from 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. live on the Property Hour Show on Starr Radio UK, where we talk to mortgage brokers, property developers, estate agents, landlord, tenant, property consultants on how to invest or get into the property business and make money. You can't afford to miss this. The Property Hour Show is your best source into the property industry.
Are you looking for the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy door-to-door shipment company? Well, look no further. When was the last time your family received a shipment back in Ghana on time and Inter, you are not sure? Well, Lamb Shippers, we pride ourselves with being the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy shippers you can use. You are assured of a prompt pickup anywhere in the UK by our personnel. They also make sure your items are well packaged to get to its destination, Inter. When it comes to door-to-door shipment, look no further. Well, Lamb Shippers, contact us on 07939009321 or 07498911820, or you can visit our website www.welllamb.co.uk. You can also drop us a mail, info@welllamb@gmail.com. Well Lamb Shippers, fast, reliable, and trustworthy.
Check me out. He tells me my energy is making him tired.
Yes!
How do you get the energy to do
I've been told that I have a lot of energy, but my goodness, I think today I have met my match, people. I have met my match, Miss Suzanne. Wow, amazing.
One of the things that's the start of the
darkness.
The whole of darkness.
So what did that
Myself and the world will adjust. And 2019.
Forget the proverbial boardroom. Join me, Simone Frazier, on The CEO, the program that gives you the driving seat over your life. Every Tuesday, 8 p.m. only on Starr Radio.
Hi there. Are you dreaming of owning your own house in Ghana? Then you will need a well-documented piece of land that is free from troubles. I highly recommend My Africa Property for any size of land that you will need. With My Africa Property, lands are available in Pram, Sopoli, Tohenia, Ogome, Dodova, Winneba, and many other locations at affordable prices. These locations are about an hour away from the airport, only 35 minutes from the motorway, 10 minutes drive from Central University College, 10 minutes drive to the beach, and close to Pram Senior High School and Ghana Men's Soccer Center of Excellence. For more details, visit our website www.myafricaproperty.com or call our UK office on 0208 123 2523. For our US and Canada offices, call us on +1 585 184 994145. You can also email us at ghana@myafricaproperty.com.
Tune in to On Point here on Starr Radio UK with Empress Regina every Monday at 5 p.m. GMT. Looking forward to your company.
Hi guys, this is your friend Uruj from SendWave. SendWave is a money transfer app that is used by people all over the world to send money to their loved ones in Africa. With SendWave, you can send money to Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And the best part is, SendWave is absolutely commission free. Our exchange rates are excellent. You can see for yourself by checking them out on our website. So how do you use SendWave? SendWave is an app that you can download onto your phone from the App Store or Google Play Store. The app is free to download. After downloading it, just open the app and enter your name, email, and phone number. That's it. You're good to go. Make sure you use the promo code SR. S for Star, R for Radio. This promo code will give you £5 free credit to send to Africa on your first transaction. Your money will be delivered to your recipient within seconds. Feel free to call me on 0749 7377 647 at any time. I'll be happy to tell you all about SendWave and help you in any way I can. Remember to use the promo code SR for £5 free credit. Medasse.
Broadcasting worldwide, online 24/7.
Hi there, this is CJ Buckman, your life coach. And whenever I'm in London, I listen to Starr Radio UK right here. But guess what? You can listen to wherever you are.
Show them you got the cocoa set. Ladies and gentlemen, it's your boy Harry Song, aka Mr. Songs. This is the King Makeup about for the girls. We're here. This is Starr Radio. Don't go nowhere. UK. London. We they call them London for home. For here, we they call them London. And that's how you know. Just have fun and stay blessed.
The best radio show. Broadcasting worldwide, online 24/7.
All around the world. In your car.
At work.
At home.
On your smartphone.
This is Starr Radio UK. Are you ready to turn it up?
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Your heart is aching.
Smile even though it's breaking. When there are clouds in the sky, you get by. If you smile through your fear and sorrow, smile and maybe tomorrow you find that life is still worthwhile if you just smile. Hey, this is Archie, and you are listening to Starr Radio UK and the Morning Show.
This is Starr Radio. This is
UK.
Starr Radio UK. This is Starr Radio UK.
Welcome. Broadcasting worldwide, online 24/7.
Enlighten your day with Starr Radio. Starr Radio. Radio for the people, by the people.
To moon, I miss you. The crowd, it could be a bar, Tamanya Sekai, Yama Kunta. As we are Simobi, shall be baby. To me, yet to my day, now my jibe. A quadri met a soon in any bee. So you can crave me, Bonnie. Friday, Bakubi, no my chat. Minabaya, Bakubi, and my wife. Ankana, Bangana.
Okay, massive good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night to you, wherever you might be on planet Earth. I want to welcome you to the Wednesday edition of the Morning Show. Today is the 19th day of October, the year 2022, with the time now 10:37 from the hearts of London. Something playing in the background from The World Ghana, featuring the real sax and as a praise. Okay, well, let me say good morning to my team this morning. Mr. Frank Davis, Mr. Olayomi Koiki, and Mr. Francis Guy, my able producer. Massive good morning to you all, gentlemen. And I'm saying special good morning to Coach D, Felix all the way in Aberdeen. Hope you guys are all doing good. Mr. Malik Dramani Mahama, good morning. Mr. Kofi Ali Abdul Yakin, massive good morning to you. Let me say good morning to the one and only Amayo. Yes, good morning to you. Aziz Anthony Adedeji, good morning to you all, guys. To Bishop Adeshola, good morning to you. Miss Gold, good morning. Let me say good morning to each and every one of you. Those of you in America, those of you in Europe, those of you in Asia, those of you in Australia, and those of you on the African continent, especially those of you in Nigeria, Kenya, Ghana, South Africa, Uganda. Oh my goodness, my Liberian listeners, I salute each and every one of you, and once again I welcome you to the program. I remain yours sincerely, the one and only.
This is the morning show with Archie.
Okay. Now, for those of you who have just tuned in for the first time on the Wednesday edition of the Morning Show, this is how the program goes. I'm going to bring you the quote for the day. The weather forecast will follow suit. Then the travel update continues from there. We'll look at some of the stories making the rounds across the globe for today. From there, we'll continue to look at some of the updates from Nigeria, where we have Olayomi Koiki on at 11 o'clock. And then we continue from dance. At 11:30, we open the lines for any calls that will come through pertaining to the program. Then at 12 o'clock, we'll bring the first part of the program to a close and take you to the House of Parliament for the Prime Minister's question time. So, Nigerians, that's what's going to happen today. Let me say good morning to Pastor Emmanuel Chidi. He was the first to be on the platform on the Facebook bit. I salute you, man of God, and thank you very much for your patronage. And Alonji say, yes, good morning, sir. How are you doing, Alonji? I'm glad you are doing very, very well. And Nigeria has not happened to you, and my Nigeria never happened to you. Okay. Alright then, let's crack on. Now when it comes to the quote of the day, it says, your ribs are still fragile. Don't behave like a macho man until the time that God will open up the lid of your life. I mean, when you rush, at times you do miss it. So it's better to make sure that you metamorphose into a full-blown butterfly before you pop your head and try to make too much noise. But I believe that, well, we all have our times. Times and seasons happen to each and every one of us. All that is important is to spot the right time to actually evolve or pop out. Okie dokie do. Now let's move on straight to the weather front. Well, it's been quite an interesting weather. Next week we're going to be having some hot weather, you know, interestingly. About 10 degrees difference in heat, that's what I mean. Okay, so when it comes to the weather front for today, it will be mainly dry with a mixture of variable cloud and sunshine. The hot shower may develop at times, especially later in the day, but these should be fairly infrequent. Now tonight, a few showers will push in from the west. These potentially heavy and thundery at times towards dawn. Showers will begin to merge into more persistent spells of rain. And when it comes to the temperature is going to be 18 degrees. The low is going to be 14 degrees. UV level low, pollution low. Sunset, yes, 18 hours, and sunrise for tomorrow morning 07:31 hours. And that brings us to the end of the weather forecast. It is all Starr Radio UK. I know what I go do more roads and I have me. Okay, let's take a quick break. We come back and we continue with the show. Don't you worry, I'll bring you all those music. Yeah, during the course of the program. Yes. The program is not void of any music. We bring you everything that you need to know pertaining to all the music that we have on the platform, or those who want us to sample it for them. All right, stay tuned.
Tune in to On Point here on Starr Radio UK with Empress Regina every Monday at 5 p.m. GMT. Looking forward to your company.
This is Starr Radio UK.
Okay, so keep your eyes on the roads. I'm keeping navigated. I promise I'll on the Starr Radio UK travel app that comes to every weekday from 10:40. It's now 10:42. So how is your travels like this morning, wherever you are? Yes, you might be traveling, you might be going somewhere. You know, we are a worldwide radio station. We have viewers and listeners across the globe. So you share with us, it will better someone's life today. So feel free to do so. Okay, so when it comes to the travel updates for those of you, those of us in the UK, my goodness. Well, on the underground this morning here in London, a severe delays between Elephant and Castle and Queen's Park due to an earlier signal failure at Edgware Road. Now, tickets are being accepted on London buses, good service on the rest of the line. And then on the district line, there are minor delays between Earls Court and Bracken, eastbound only due to an earlier faulty train. Good service on the rest of the line. That aside, all the others have got good service there. London Overground, TFL Rail, London Tramlink, good service. Now moving on straight to the major roads in London. Yes, the A4, Central London Red Road and South Circular A205 have all got closures. Now, when it comes to the A21, A3, not circular, A406, serious delays. So if you can avoid them, do your best to avoid them. Don't get yourself stuck in there. However, if you are stuck in there, continue to listen to us, because as and when there are any changes, I promise you one thing for sure, we'll bring it to the fore. But keep your eyes on the roads. Keep your eyes on the roads, and we'll keep you navigating. I'm moving on straight to the river bus. Yes, as you know, the Woolwich Ferry has still got special service. That aside, all the others have got good service. London Cable Car, good service there as well. I'm moving on to the final segment of the travel update. That is the National Rail. Now, on the National Rail this morning, Cross Country has got a reduced service between Cardiff Central and Birmingham New Street. And East Midland Railways have got minor delays as well. A Great Western Railway, minor delays on some routes. And then the Northern Rail has also got minor delays. Scotch Rail have got daily service changes and service disruptions. So if you are up north and you have to travel that way, use that means that please check before you travel. On Southwestern Railway, their revised timetable, Salisbury to Exeter. So please check before you embark on your journey. First Transpennine Express has also got amended timetable. That seems to be disrupting some of the services. So please check before you leave. But on that note, let me say it once again, as I do say it boldly. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good dawn to you, wherever you might be on planet Earth. Enjoy your commute for today. But you know what? Continue to keep those eyes on the road.
This is your friend Uruj from SendWave. SendWave is a money transfer app that is used by people all over the world to send money to their loved ones in Africa. With SendWave, you can send money to Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And the best part is, SendWave is absolutely commission-free. Our exchange rates are excellent. You can see for yourself by checking them out on our website. So how do you use SendWave? SendWave is an app that you can download onto your phone from the App Store or Google Play Store. The app is free to download. After downloading it, just open the app and enter your name, email, and phone number. That's it. You're good to go. Make sure you use the promo code SR. S for Star, R for Radio. This promo code will give you £5 free credit to send to Africa on your first transaction. Your money will be delivered to your recipient within seconds. Feel free to call me on 0749 7377 647 at any time. I'll be happy to tell you all about SendWave and help you in any way I can. Remember to use the promo code SR for £5 free credit. Medasse.
Hi everyone, it's your girl BB Clement, the author of How to Go From Employee to Entrepreneur and the host of your weekly business show, BB Means Business, the show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Starr Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
Getting onto the property ladder has never been easy until now. Join us this and every Thursday from 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. live on the Property Hour Show on Starr Radio UK, where we talk to mortgage brokers, property developers, estate agents, landlord, tenant, property consultants on how to invest or get into the property business and make money. You can't afford to miss this. The Property Hour Show is your best source into the property industry.
Are you looking for the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy door-to-door shipment company? Well, look no further. When was the last time your family received a shipment back in Ghana on time and in time? You are not sure? Well, Lamb Shippers, we pride ourselves with being the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy shippers you can use. You are assured of a prompt pickup anywhere in the UK by our personnel. They also make sure your items are well packaged to get to its destination in time. When it comes to door-to-door shipment, look no further. Well, Lamb Shippers, contact us on 07939009321 or 07498911820, or you can visit our website www.welllamp.co.uk. You can also drop us a mail, info@welllamb@gmail.com. Well Lamb Shippers, fast, reliable, and trustworthy.
Check me out. He tells me my energy is making him tired.
Yes!
How do you get the energy to do
I've been told that I have a lot of energy, but my goodness, I think today I have met my match, people. I have met my match, Miss Suzanne. Wow, amazing.
One of the things that's the start of the darkness. The whole of darkness.
So what did that
myself and the world will adjust. And 2019,
forget the proverbial boardroom. Join me, Simone Frazier, on the CEO, the program that gives you the driving seat over your life. Every Tuesday, 8 p.m. only on Starr Radio.
Welcome back to the program Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London, bringing the time down to 10 minutes to the top of the hour. That means 10 minutes to 11 here, and it's now time for Global Trotting. So some of the story that's making the rounds. Yes, when Yomi joins us, we're going to be bringing you more on that. Now, IPOP slams Malami over comments on Kano's release. There are some of the stories making the rounds there that will be touching on, and a lot more coming from Yomi as well. Even I was detained, Peter Obi reacts to El Rufai's allegation and confesses his sin. Okay, some stories coming from the electioneering that's going to be taking place. The voices of Nigerian women must be heard loud and clear, Aisha Buhari says. Is it now that they are about to exit? That she thinks that, well, she has to make those noise, and how is that even going to impact the life of women, those who have been marginalized, those who have been kidnapped and everything, I mean their property and everything destroyed? What is she saying about that? It's now time for her to say, hey, now set up and let's look at what is happening to women. Has she been an advocate or a voice for Nigerian women? We'll be telling you more on that front in a moment, but let's move on to other parts of the world as well. Now, Tunisians are demanding truth after alleged burials without DNA analysis of migrant shipwrecks. Victims in the southeastern Tunisian city of Zarzis. Shops and government offices were closed on Tuesday, October 18. Protesters were demanding a renewed search. I mean, which is far true. What have they done? What have they buried there? Interesting one. Now, South Africa suspects in sex worker murders appears before court. That's one of the stories making the rounds there. Okay, and then Morocco and EU signs deal to boost cooperation on renewable energy. All right, some of the stories there. Now, moving on straight to some other stories making the rounds in Ghana as well. I'm constrained. Dr. Opuni should be excused. Retired Justice Honyenuga admits, well, the man, they say the man has got some eye problem. He's had an up on his eyes and therefore cannot appear. He's not supposed to be using the eye. He needs to be closing the eye or shutting the eye so that it can heal. And then they are saying that he needed to appear before God. But well, for once, Justice Honyenuga is saying that, look, I think I'm constrained. I can't do much. Let us allow the man to heal, and then we can bring him back to court. Well, Mahama is said to be the former president, said to be the most charismatic leader of our time. That is those of us. Okay, and inflation hikes. This is not election year. Treat Ghanaians as citizens. Gabi to MPP. Wow, Gabi saying that. Interesting. Maybe you come tomorrow to say that, oh, he was misquoted, but we'll bring you more on that front. So wherever you are, just stay tuned and don't even think of touching the dial. Okay, now moving on straight to other parts of the world as well. Russia begins evacuation of key Ukrainian city of Kherson, seized during invasion as key forces counter attack. Well, but Russia goes on. Is it that they don't have devoted soldiers who want to be on the ground to be doing the fighting, and rather they have to be using missiles, they're firing missiles from ships and stuff like that, and that's what they seem to be doing, attacking Kyiv. What do you think about all that? We will bring you more on that front. Crowds greet Iranian climber who broke hijab rule. Athlete Elnaz Rikabi arrives in Tehran to chant of heroin after competing with her hair uncovered. Oh my goodness, I bet you'll be coming for her tomorrow morning. Now, deadly blast at notorious Myanmar prison. The parcel bombs went off in the mail room of insane jail where many political prisoners are held. Who have been killed? Well, we'll bring you more on that front. Chinese envoy involved in protester attack. You can say it follows speculation that a man who fought UK protester was China Consul General. Oh my goodness. I bet he has to be fired or exited, or he has to exit. Let me put it that way. That's the Chinese living the UK. Now, Ottawa lost control of track protests. Mayor says, remember, early part of this year there were trash protests, and they said that Ottawa actually lost control over that. That's what the mayor is saying. How much did it cost them? I bet you millions, and I bet you ran into billions. Well, you want to know more? It is Starr Radio UK. And Germany fired a cybersecurity chief over Russia ties. Well, a lot more going to be coming your way from there. And then here in the UK, well, we woke up not to a good news, but we were all expecting that is going to happen. Food prices rise at fastest rate in 42 years. The price of bread, cereal, meat, and other key foods surged in the year to September. So now inflation rate is 10.1. My goodness. Well, the Prime Minister will be facing the opposition leader, Keir Starmer, once again in the House of Commons this afternoon, which we're going to be taking you there live exactly at 12 o'clock. But for now, let's go enjoy some music and I'll be with you. This one from they call them the Manifest. The Manifest, and say it says, if you have God, what happens? Enjoy it and I'll be with you.
Hallelujah, 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 mo yesunti, mo hallelujah, hallelujah.
This is Starr Radio UK.
Say wo erata iwatina, hallelujah, hallelujah, iwatina, hallelujah, mo yesunti, mo hallelujah, hallelujah, mo Eyo se shishe na hini nenet nene no kai ine favore shishe wajingwa sembo sarabona yede sebu siapo nyoko fopo yesu doni muti inyo besi biara empa bakra jidi shedi no yede from bible kasa from no kasa yesu chiremiye tremaza minye say wo erata iwatina, hallelujah, hallelujah, iwatina, hallelujah, mo yesunti, mo hallelujah, hallelujah, mo oh shishe na hini nenet nene no kan.
Hey, let me say good morning to Adox Breaker. Good morning, sir. He says, oh, you still didn't play. No, don't cry. I promise you I'm going to play your music for you. All right, then. And let me say good morning to Afolayan Olatunde. I hope you all are doing very, very well. It is Starr Radio UK. So playing in the background, the manifest. And they say if you have Jesus or you have the Lord or you have God, you got everything. All right then. It's now 10:59. Let's take a quick break, and once we come back, we'll be bringing you Mr. Olayomi Koiki. So stay tuned. It is Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London.
Hi guys, this is your friend Uruj from SendWave. SendWave is a money transfer app that is used by people all over the world to send money to their loved ones in Africa. With SendWave, you can send money to Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And the best part is, SendWave is absolutely commission free. Our exchange rates are excellent. You can see for yourself by checking them out on our website. So how do you use SendWave? SendWave is an app that you can download onto your phone from the App Store or Google Play Store. The app is free to download. After downloading it, just open the app and enter your name, email, and phone number. That's it. You're good to go. Make sure you use the promo code SR. S for Star, R for Radio. This promo code will give you £5 free credit to send to Africa on your first transaction. Your money will be delivered to your recipient within seconds. Feel free to call me on 0749 7377 647 at any time. I'll be happy to tell you all about SendWave and help you in any way I can. Remember to use the promo code SR for £5 free credit. Medasse.
Hi everyone, it's your girl BB Clement, the author of How to Go From Employee to Entrepreneur and the host of your weekly business show, BB Means Business, the show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Starr Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
Getting onto the property ladder has never been easy until now. Join us this and every Thursday from 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. live on the Property Hour Show on Starr Radio UK, where we talk to mortgage brokers, property developers, estate agents, landlord, tenant, property consultants on how to invest or get into the property business and make money. You can't afford to miss this. The Property Hour Show is your best source into the property industry.
Welcome back to the program. It is Starr Radio UK. As they say earlier on, we'll be joined by Mr. Olayomi Koiki pretty soon. But inflation rate in the UK has gone up to 10.1, which virtually I know that the governor of the Bank of England will be raising interest rates. The inflation rate gone up. Definitely, interest rate will also have to be coming on. But well, we'll be following the developments at the House of Parliament today, the House of Commons this afternoon exactly at 12 o'clock, which we're going to make sure that you don't miss a thing on that one. Okay, but some of the stories I'm going to be looking at when it comes to Nigeria, once we're getting Mr. Olayomi Koiki ready on. You remember the death of one lady, Jomoke Yeleke, during the Yoruba rally. I think, was it last year? Yes, I think so. Sometime last year. Well, a Lagos State coroner yesterday indicted the police for the death of the 25-year-old sales girl, Jumoke Oyeleke, who was killed during the Yoruba Nation rally held on July 3, 2021 in the Ojota area of the state. Well, he goes on further to say he was the coroner also recommended that the Lagos State government should encourage the federal government to ensure proper training and retraining and reorientation of police officers on the right to hold protests in a democratic settings. We don't seem to be seeing that, do we? But well. Once we wait for Mr. Olayomi Koiki to come on, this is a song that when I play, there's a tendency that I could be blocked, but I have a way of doing it. But it's a special one for a Dax Breaker. So let's go to him. This is Milan Taban from Kojo and Tree. But it's all coming your way from Star Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. As I said, we have Mr. Olayomi on because it's a Wednesday edition of the morning show where we know that we are always we don't have enough time to spare. But wow, we'll be cracking on. Alex, I promise you one thing for sure. I'll bring you that song uninterrupted. Not today, but sometime tomorrow or by Friday, of course. Well, the Naira may devalue by 20% in 2023. Maybe they can do something to bring it back. Anthony Adedeji, massive good morning to you. And let me take this opportunity to say massive good morning to the one and only Mr. Olayomi Koiki. Oh, Adak says that he's dancing. Adak, yeah. We thank God. Okay, just bear with me whilst I get Yomi's image on the screen. Yomi, massive good morning to you.
Well, a very good morning to you, Mr. Archie. Good morning to you, Frank. Good morning to all our presenters. And a good morning to all our listeners that have also joined us from the sister platform as well. And I say welcome to Star Radio UK. The morning edition, 5 minutes past, 11 a.m. And it is exactly, the Wednesday edition where we know we are really short of time when it comes to the Wednesday edition because of the PMQ that we normally go at about 12 p.m.
Yes. How are you doing and how is the family?
Well, a little bit, boiling this morning. Each time you look at the situation in Nigeria, and if you look at the young girl that is right behind us there, you would just wonder, may Nigeria never happen to you? Is something that a lot of people might not understand. I'm doing very well. The family are very well as well, as usual, and I can only say we give thanks to the Creator.
Okay, listeners, Mr. Olayomi Koiki. Now let's talk about the lady whose image we have behind you, Jumoke Oyeleke. Now remember a year ago when the incident did happen. Now we knew that the security agencies were being cagey about the whole thing. They were being cagey about it, and that doesn't even. Remember the NSAS issue as well. The shooting that took place on that bridge. I forgot it. Toll gate. Yeah, that one. So every time there are inquests and then there's some recommendations, but we don't see any actions. Do you think that Jumoke's case is going to be different?
Well, we hope so. That is the only thing I can say. Knowing fully well that in the last 20 years of the democracy in Nigeria, we've never seen a case solved and where people have got justice. And justice is something that one of the reasons why so many questions to the unity of Nigeria is still being asked this morning. I mean, the case of Jumoke is a very terrible situation, just as so many cases that have happened in the past as well. And the reason for that is let's take us back slightly to this case. I mean, last year July, as the rally was going ahead in different part of the Yoruba land for the people that want self-determination, that is their right under the Article 3 of the United Nations, there was the biggest one that was going to take place in Lagos, and that would have happened in July 3rd. But just 72 hours before then, there was a terrible attack, assassination attempt on the life of Chief Sunday Adeyemo Igboho, at his residence in Soka, and that literally meant that the reason for that everybody knew was because Chief they said he will be coming to Lagos as he has done before. The rally went ahead in the midst of the chaotic situation where 2 people were killed in Chief Sunday Igboho's house. We're talking about his very close friend Alhaji Adisa Adogon, a family man, and likewise his brother Alhaji Adogon is the one on the right hand side that was spending the night over in Chief Sunday Igboho's house, while his brother that is on the right hand side, Alhaji Fatai, is a family man, were both murdered inside the house. But we thought that would have been much more to condone than then going into the July 3rd. The rally went ahead as planned, but something happened that also became one of the news that we are discussing today, and that is the death that occurred of the young Jumoke Oyeleke. Jumoke Oyeleke is is a sales girl that was, just unfortunate to have been very close to where the rally was being held. And that rally was held in Ojota in Lagos State. But right now, the news have just now been broken that the Yoruba Nation rally, the Corona have now indicted the police over the death of Jumoke Oyeleke. According to the Lagos State Corona yesterday, indicted the police for the death of the 25-year-old sales girl Jumoke Oyeleke, who was killed during the Yoruba Nation rally that was held. She was not part of the rally. She was never part of it. She was just a sales girl, selling closer to the rally. This happened July 3rd, 2021 in Ojota. And the magistrate, Mukaila Fadeyi, who conducted the inquest, concluded in his finding that the police shot the deceased and caused her ultimate death. Fadeyi held that the only logical conclusion the court can make from his investigation is that the deceased died from a weapon by the Nigerian police. He therefore recommended the federal government should pay compensation to the family of the deceased. Part of the recommendation as well was that the coroner is now asking the Lagos State government should encourage the federal government to ensure proper training, retraining, reorientation of the police officer on the right to hold protest in a democratic setting. It went on to say that the Inspector General of Police will ensure that the total overhaul of police force to fish out the bad eggs and ensure that they are brought to book to forestall further accidental killing. It went on to say, just to finish it off, magistrate also recommended that regular mental and medical checkups should be instituted for police officers to determine their suitability to bear arms. He also went to conclude that access to Freedom Park, where Jumoke was killed and where the rally was held, should never be blocked or condoned off in the future, and that the police officer detailed to protest rally ground should never use a live bullet.
Well, that's what's supposed to be. I mean, if you go for there's a protest and you are supposed to be policing it, that's what it's supposed to be. But what do we see in Africa? They'll go with live bullets and end up shooting people, killing people. But well, as we say, may Nigeria not happen to you. Let me acknowledge a couple of people. Prince Abimbola also there says good morning Archie and White Lion, as well as Mr. Frank. Trust you good. Yes, we are doing very well, thank you. Along he says Mr. Koiki, good morning, kudos to you for the good work you are doing. And Moyiwa also says good morning, good morning Moyiwa. Afolayan is saying that in Nigeria there are no human right is not working well, which I agree with you 255%. Now Moyiwa says may Nigeria not happen to us. Of course, that is our prayer, that Nigeria will not happen to you wherever across the globe that you find yourself. But has this lady been buried at all?
Bamishe.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Jumoke, yeah.
Buried, but remember that Bamishe, case is still ongoing. She has not been buried since February. That she was also killed inside Lagos. It looks like Lagos needs to really do very well, protecting the environment and those living and doing businesses and in and out of Lagos State. But Jumoke has been buried, by the family.
Is there going to be any compensation to the family for the loss of their? Because as you were saying, she's just a sales girl who was selling across the street, along the street where the rally was taking place, and the police were firing sporadically into them, and then ended up killing her, a stray bullet. Let me put it that way. So has the state compensated her, their family, of course?
Well, we will have to wait. Now that the coroner have made their final judgment. So I think two things have to come out. The federal government controls the police in Nigeria, and that means that the federal government under the Inspector General of Police must find a resolution to pay a compensation. In terms of the state, the state would also have to look into the next kind of situation like this. I mean, it's not just about rallies. This morning I was actually watching in Surulere, where those that have disability challenges are already protesting, and you can already tell that the tension there is also high. So and the reason why they are protesting is that it seems that some of them, their names have been removed for a competition that they are meant to be attending. That shows that not even the able are facing the brunt in Nigeria. Even those with disability challenges are facing the same situation as well.
Oh, that's why we say Nigeria not happy to you, because whatever your situation is, interesting one. But a quick one, the Freedom Park, is it a park that is in Lagos where you can just go for rallies and any kind of rally can take place there at all?
Well, Freedom Park, as you did mention, is one location in Nigeria that, especially in Lagos State, that is one of the most unique parks. Freedom Park is Memorial Leisure Park area in the middle of the downtown Lagos Island, Nigeria, which was formerly Majesty Broad Street Prison. It was designed by the architect, Theolonsin. The park was constructed to preserve the history and cultural heritage. So when you look, I think I've mixed that up. Freedom Park in Ojota is the one that we are talking about. Freedom Park in Ojota actually is the one that have the late Gani Fawehinmi. Gani Fawehinmi is a freedom activist, a senior advocate of Nigeria, and after his death, his sculpture was mounted in Ojota. So it has now become an emblem where people go and have their different kind of grieves against the government. So and it has been like that for a very long time. But it seems that the police have always tried to disperse people using live weapons. But we now hope that with this judgment, things will be changed and allow. We are not in a democratic, in a military settings. We're in a democratic, and it is the right, for the citizens, to protest whenever they are ready to do so. And it is the job of the police officer to guide those that are protesting, and according to the coroner, not to use the live ammunition.
Kuladeyemi, good morning to you, and lots of love to you. And Kehinde Oseni Saliman, it's a good morning, sir. Baba Mi Koiki, thank you so much again, sir. May God be with you, sir, and may God let you live long. Okay, that's good. Amen. Again, Yoruba Nation, no going back. Thank you very, very much. Keep your comments coming through, and I promise you one thing for sure, that I'm going to be reading them. And share the broadcast with your friends and loved ones. Invite them to like our pages as well. Okay, now let's move on straight to some of the other stories making the rounds. The value of the Naira is set to devalue by about 20%, looking at 2023. Now, who is making that statement?
Well, the Naira is really devalued, and you can tell based on the exchange rate. The exchange rate to Naira this morning is about 832 Naira, and it's about almost 750 Naira to a dollar. Nigerian local currency unit is set to weaken further next year, as its current exchange rate to dollar is well above fair value, according to the Bank of America. According to the report by Bloomberg, economics says in a note, that three indicators widely used in the black market rate, the central bank's real effective exchange rate, and our own currency fair value analysis, shows that the Naira is 20% overvalue. We see scope for it to weaken by an equivalent amount over the next 6 to 9 months, taking it to as high as almost 720 20 Naira per US dollar. While the Naira will come under increased pressure due to limited government external borrowing, devaluation is unlikely happening after the February 2023 presidential election, if there was going to be one in the first place.
Well, is there going to be an election or not? That is a big question on the lips of most people who continue to listen to us on this platform or Nigeria as a whole. But what do you think? Do you think election is going to be taking place? I'll follow your answer is in Nigeria, if you don't have a big man, you cannot see justice. Well, are we saying that we are living in a democratic dispensation? Now, Prince Abimbola says Nigeria government don't respect human rights. Okay, they summed it all nicely. Let's go back to Yomi, because 17 minutes past 11. Yomi, what are some of the stories making the rounds?
Well, the flood situation is creating more havoc in Nigeria, as more Nigerians are facing, the situation, and less help is coming, from the government. Senator Rep faces probe over illegal budget passage is one of the headlines coming as well. The Northern Coalition to publish article Tinubu obeys promises. Remember, the three of them were kind of, all the way in the northern part of the country over the weekend, and it seems that those in the northerners are now going to be producing, their own what they can call, promises, probably maybe just to have it, just as promises were made, during the APC 7 years, and those promises have not been fulfilled. So let's touch one or two more because of the time this morning, and then we can literally come back again to you in the studio. Once again, this is Star Radio UK. It is your finest African and Caribbean radio station in London, the Wednesday edition, as we say. The FRC warns Abuja Lagos motorists against using Ekiti. Let's have a look at that. Remember yesterday we were talking about unfinished airport or cargo airport in Ekiti. It seems that the news again is going back to Ekiti. FRC has advised people traveling through Ondo from Abuja to ply Akure Ondo Ife Ibadan or Lagos Ibadan Ife Ondo Ore Road. What could be the reason for that is one thing I want to find out. Acting FRC Corp Marshal Daudu Biu disclosed this yesterday. Mr. Biu also advised people traveling from the western part of the country through the state to the north to ply the same route. He explained that the advisory became necessary because the Igbara, Okelara, Mokin, I know the area very well because I was in that axis, I think in 2017-18 when we traveled to Ondo State. Route is totally blocked at the moment. However, in the interim, operative as well as logistics have been adequately deployed. So that is the news coming. If you're traveling, please plan those journey very well so that you do not find yourself in the pool of water that we saw about 2 weeks ago when one of our scholars actually drowned. I'm not sure whether they were aware of the and those of us that are driving thinking that vehicles will be stable in a very large pool of water, please take precaution because you will lose control and you could drown as quickly as possible. This scholar literally drowned and died in his vehicle 2 weeks ago Saturday. May so rest in peace. Igbo rulers, Bishop asks Buhari to release Nnamdi Kanu is the headline again as we continue to almost a week now. If we're going tomorrow, the Nnamdi Kanu judgment has been acquitted and discharged, but yet the DSS, the federal government, refused to release Nnamdi Kanu. At 19 minutes past this morning, Igbo ruler Bishop is asking President Muhammadu Buhari to release Nnamdi Kanu. We therefore unequivocally support the call for the immediate release of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu in line with the judgment of the court. The Southeast Council of Traditional Rulers, representatives of the Igbo, Archbishop, Bishop, have joined the call on President Muhammadu Buhari's regime to release Nnamdi Kanu, the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra IPOB. The medical, in a statement issued yesterday, signed by Igwe Inameka Achibe, chairman of the Anambra Traditional Rulers Council, and Oko, the Methodist Archbishop. We might be discussing that later on tonight. What will be the consequence should the federal government refuse to allow Nnamdi Kanu to be released? Probably later on Niger Voices. But for now, because of the time constraint, I'm going to slightly come back again to you in the studio on Star Radio UK morning show this morning.
Yes, listeners, Mr. Olayomi Koike. Now, Yomi on
I think audio.
The drill. Okay. We're going to go through the drill. We're going to go through the drill again, a quick one, and then we will bring Yomi back on. Yes. Just bear with us. We do have that happening from time to time. Okay, yes, we have Yomi back on. Okay, your image is gone, but I hope that yes, it's back. All right, now interesting. Thank you very much, every one of you who have tuned in. Aziz Badasari says, good morning, brother Koiki, the ambassador, and the rest of the team. Now Aziz says, free Nnamdi Kanu. Yes, and lots of you are saying that as well. But information that has come from the IPOB group, okay, IPOB is slamming Malami over comments on Kanu's release, because Malami has gone on yesterday to make a statement that the southeastern governors or the let me read the way that he put it. It says Abubakar Malami, Minister of Justice and Attorney General of the Federation, came under fire from the indigenous people of Biafra on Tuesday for saying that Igbo governors will decide whether or not their leader Nnamdi Kanu should be released. Now, so far, you monitoring everything down there. Which of the governors are in favor of his release or his incarceration?
Well, most of them have have gone very quiet on the case of Nnamdi Kanu. They're not saying much, and I'm sure we all know the reason why for that. They're all trying to save, their political, time in the office. But as the pressure continues to mount, how much longer can the federal government, refuse not to listen to his own, justice system in Nigeria is the question. We would have to wait, for that. But as that is coming up as well, I can also tell you there's another update news coming. Idara Gold finally arrived court over 1 year of incarceration without access to a lawyer, doctor, and our people, including the IPOB legal representative. But this morning, from the images that I've got here, that's going to be coming up in the next few minutes, has now arrived in the court. 1 year without any justice system. She has been kept in a confinement without any medical assistance, and this is what we say, may Nigeria never happen to any one of us.
What was the story about Idara?
Well, again, as IPOB or Biafra follower, you are always in the loop of the government, trying not to allow you, and that is right there is Idara, in the middle of the that images that we're just showing you. Idara is just as so many IPOB or Biafrans that have been picked up by the federal government, locked up, and accused of different allegations, as we know. But one thing is, we hope that justice will find her into, giving her at least the privilege to the most important thing that anybody will ask, in a civilized world, access to the lawyers, the legal team, to determine her fate, rather than be locked up over 1 year, according to the news that we have.
Okay, listeners, Mr. Olayomi Koiki, for you. And once again, just to reiterate what we're going to be looking at this evening on Niger Voices.
Well, we will focus a little bit more on the issue of not just Nnamdi Kanu. We'll be looking at some of the the issues affecting an average Nigerian when it comes to whether there is fair justice. Remember that Idara, that is just, she's 20 years old. Idara Gold was arrested by the DSS for wearing a Biafra outfit. That was the reason why she was actually arrested. And I'm sure some of us might be wondering, especially those that are living outside Nigeria, that are not come from Nigeria, if this kind of situation is still allowed in 21st century. But we hope that is going to be part of our conversation later on tonight. But we hope that she will get a fair system that would allow her to continue and return back to her loved one.
Okay, now on social media, and then we can bring the update to a close, sir.
Well, as more Nigerians continue to look at the situation in Nigeria, let's go straight to some of the trending this morning on the social media. And the most important aspect that is trending this morning, as we have it, is e-Naira 365 days. Remember that the government had these these feelings to so many Nigerians that the e-Naira was going to work, but I'm not sure whether anything of such is happening. So let's take a look at that because of the time, and I'm just going to finish that up. The e-Naira is aimed at boosting transparency by allowing the regulator to better monitor currency transaction, but it doesn't seem that is the what is actually happening this morning. So a lot of messages popping up again this morning. My friend told me that he tried the e-Naira app and he was never impressed. Is one of the message coming from this individual. As e-Naira will be 1 year in the next few days, the Central Bank of Nigeria has begun an inclusive campaign for grassroots adoption of its digital currency. So we hope that is going to be something that will be helpful. But for now, we will just come back to you in the studio, and that is Idara Gold there. We're trying to get if we can have that image properly, where she was actually putting on that Biafra outfit. But yes, that is it right there. But it seems that the federal government is not really pleased in Nigeria for wearing a Biafra outfit. So now that she's been brought to court, we pray that she will find the system from the court to give her the leverage to return back to her family.
She looks nice in that outfit as well. I mean, they've not written anything in that says that kill government, kill Buhari, destroy that. There's nothing of the sort. I hope that she receives fair justice. And with the new CJN of Nigeria, I think he's doing good. Let me put it that way.
Well, you're quite right. I think he's trying to clear the backlog from the previous CGN.
Okay, Yomi, let me say thank you very, very much for this wonderful update as well.
Thank you so much. I'll be back at 1800 hours later on this evening.
All right then. Have a wonderful day. We'll catch up later.
Bye for now.
Bye. Well, listeners, that was Mr. Olayomi Koike bringing you updates from Nigeria. It is now gone exactly 11:29 from the House of London. I'll be taking you to the House of Parliament exactly at 12 o'clock. But for now, a quick commercial break and I'll bring you some music and then we continue from there. So stay tuned. Don't you go away.
Hi guys, this is your friend Uruj from SendWave. SendWave is a money transfer app that is used by people all over the world to send money to their loved ones in Africa. With SendWave, you can send money to Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And the best part is, SendWave is absolutely commission free. Our exchange rates are excellent. You can see for yourself by checking them out on our website. So how do you use SendWave? SendWave is an app that you can download onto your phone from the App Store or Google Play Store. The app is free to download. After downloading it, just open the app and enter your name, email, and phone number. That's it. You're good to go. Make sure you use the promo code SR. S for Star, R for Radio. This promo code will give you £5 free credit to send to Africa on your first transaction. Your money will be delivered to your recipient within seconds. Feel free to call me on 0749 7377 647 at any time. I'll be happy to tell you all about SendWave and help you in any way I can. Remember to use the promo code SR for £5 free credit. Medasse.
Hi everyone, it's your girl BB Clement, the author of How to Go From Employee to Entrepreneur and the host of your weekly business show, BB Means Business, the show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Starr Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
Getting onto the property ladder has never been easy until now. Join us this and every Thursday from 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. live on the Property Hour Show on Starr Radio UK, where we talk to mortgage brokers, property developers, estate agents, landlord, tenant, property consultants on how to invest or get into the property business and make money. You can't afford to miss this. The Property Hour Show is your best source into the property industry.
Gold pirates, yes, they rob I, sold I to the merchant ships. Minutes after they took I from the bottomless pit. My hand was made strong by the hand of the Almighty.
This is Starr Radio UK.
Triumphantly, won't you help to sing?
Broadcasting worldwide, online 24/7.
All I ever had,
This is Starr Radio UK.
You are listening to Starr Radio Morning Show.
All I ever had,
You are listening to Starr Radio Morning Show.
Okay, a cover version of Bob Marley's Redemption song by Berwin. Very, very wonderful rendition of that. Okay, so now let's move on to some of the other stories making the rounds. As I did say, it is the Wednesday edition of the morning show, and therefore, as you know, we do have a very, very short time to go to or take you to the House of Parliament for the Prime Minister's question time. So wherever you are, don't even think of touching the dial. Now moving on straight on. Now touching a couple of stories from Ghana, and then we can move on. Kuta members have closed shops over economic woes. Now, so who is going to be struggling? Is it the general public? Well. So whatever you're looking for, you're not going to be getting it. Living Standard Series, first class graduate returns to selling buff fruit for survivor. Buff fruit, puff. Okay? And then if we don't put a ceiling on Supreme Court judges, it won't help us. That is what the GBA is saying. And let me bring you that, because yesterday four judges were being vetted to join the Supreme Court. The Ghana Bar Association says it has become necessary for a ceiling to be placed on the number of Supreme Court judges the country can have at a time. The association said the current form of no capping is not helping the country. The public relations officer of the association, Xavier Koji, said in an interview yesterday, the way our constitution is now, if we don't put a ceiling on it, it will not help us. Mr. Koje, however, stated that the capping would also depend on the number of cases needed to be heard. It will depend on the work at hand. Now, many more cases are going on appeal now. The Supreme Court happens to be the highest and the final appellate court. So for me, going forward, we need to look at it and see if you can have some ceiling, he added. Now, their backing follows the minority in Parliament's worries about President Akufo-Addo's continuous nomination of judges to the Supreme Court bench. How many judges has he actually appointed to the Supreme Court? Well, the NEC MPs said President Akufo-Addo's appointment of judges to the Apex Court is unprecedented in the Fourth Republic. They insist the increase from 11 to 14 justices has a tendency to drain the resources of the state. Minority Leader Haruna Idrisu made this known on Tuesday during the vetting of a newly appointed judges to the Supreme Court. But note that President Mills contributed about 21.4%, John Mahama 28.6%, and Akufo-Addo 78.6% from 11 to 14. Now, Supreme Court judges will wonder if he is mindful of the public purse. Well, maybe you need to sack some people from the presidency, and those monies can go to cater for them. So if we need them to adjudicate, then why not? Well, it is all coming away from Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Another story from Ghana as well. Now, Gabi Asare-Okyere, a member of the governing MPP, has advised members of the party not to play politics of equalization with inflation figures and to only treat Ghanaians as voters in an election year. According to him, this is not the time that MPP members should play politics of equalization with members of the opposition NDC. He said, at this stage where the economy is facing high inflation with high interest rates and the cedi depreciating, the people of Ghana rather need to be treated as citizens. Really? Now, Gabi noted in a tweet on Tuesday, October 18, that politics of comparison work better in an election year. Therefore, it is prudent for the government to work on how the citizens can make ends meet, because that is what they care about. He maintained that currently the world is experiencing an unprecedented economic crisis and Ghana is suffering badly from the situation because it is recovering from the COVID-19 pandemic. The MPP shouldn't play the politics of equalization with the NDC on inflation, interest rates and cedi depreciation. The world is facing an economic crisis like never before in peacetime. Ghana has been hit very hard because our economic recovery was being delicately managed pre-COVID. That is what Gabi Asare-Okyere tweeted. Now, what do you think about that? Interesting times. Well, how do you treat people as citizens? By making sure that their needs are met. How many of them are having their needs even met at all? Wow, interesting development from that front. But it's all coming your way from Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. In a letter dated October 17, 2022, and signed by the Secretary to the President, Nana Bediacho Asante, President Nana Addo Dankwa's Akufo-Addo has terminated the appointment of the Director General of the Education Service, Professor Kwesi Opoku-Amankwa. This brought the appointment of the GES board, who was appointed in 2017, to an end. According to GES.gov.gh, Professor Kwesi Opoku-Amankwa was appointed as Acting Director General by President Akufo-Addo in April 2017, and he assumed office on May 15, 2017. He subsequently confirmed as Director General. He was subsequently confirmed as Director General in October 2017. So, why did the President decide to dismiss the GES boss? According to the letter penned by Nana Bediacho Asante, the skills of the professor were no longer required at the GES. The Ministry of Education has informed his office that the exigencies that required your skills and expertise as Director General of the Ghana Education Service do not exist any longer. The President thanks you for your service to the nation and wishes you the very best in your future endeavors, the letter said. The letter, however, stated that Professor Opoku-Amankwa had been directed to return to his position at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. Now, until his appointment as the Director General of the Ghana Education Service, Professor Opoku-Amankwa was an associate professor at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, and also served as the Dean of the International Programs Office of the university. It was worth mentioning that Professor Opoku-Amankwa's contract as GS boss was extended in June 2021, to which the presidency has since stated it did in breach of the law. The letter on his dismissal added that the extended contract was in contravention of the Human Resources Policy Frame and Manual of the Public Services Commission, as it purports to extend your secondment beyond 3-year maximum limit. He was appointed as Acting Director General by His Excellency the President of the Republic of Ghana in April 2017. He assumed office on the 15th of May 2017 and was subsequently confirmed as Director General in October 2017. So what happened for him to fall out? What happened for him to fall out with the presidency? Well, yesterday we did talk about what the son of the president of Uganda was doing pertaining to his tweets that was actually causing a bit of unrest between Uganda and Kenya. Well, Uganda's latest 4-star general Mahuzi Kainerugaba has rejected reports that he will be banned from using Twitter. His recent tweets on leading Uganda military to invade neighboring Kenya raised a Twitter storm that ended with his father, President Yoweri Museveni, issuing an official apology over the tweet. He was head of Uganda's land forces till the controversial tweets caused his promotion to general and replacement as commander of the land forces. In a tweet responding to alleged calls for him to be banned from the micro-blogging site, he said he was an adult who could not be banned from anything. I hear some journalists from Kenya ask my father to ban me from Twitter. Is that some kind of joke? I am an adult and no one will ban me from anything. His tweet of October 18, that's yesterday read. So, well, what do you think? Interesting times. Well, he think that's the president's son. He can't touch this. Well, 17 minutes to the top of the hour. The time, Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. One interesting story making the rounds in Tunisia. In the southeastern Tunisian city of Zaziz, shops and government offices were closed along with health services except for emergency cases on Tuesday. Now, protesters demanded a renewed search for relatives who went missing in a failed migration attempt. Now, chanting slogans like "the people want the truth," thousands once again took to the street. The pressure piling on authorities prompted the president to ask his justice minister to open an investigation. I assure you that it is a historic strike in the city of Zazi's Ed. Local activist Zadine Nsalem said, the state must reveal the truth. Today, we want to know the truth. It is a state crime that was perpetrated against the inhabitants of Zazis. With the burial of bodies found at sea, believed to be passengers from the boat in a cemetery for foreign migrants, without identifying them before not having done any DNA analysis. Now, 4 weeks ago, 18 Tunisians boarded a boat headed for Italy before it sank. Now, 4 people suspected of being missing Tunisians were buried in a nearby cemetery for foreign migrants, allegedly without efforts to identify them. Those bodies have since been exhumed for identification, while another 2 bodies believed to be Tunisians were found. One of the country's largest unions, the UGTT Trade Union Federation, voiced support for the strike and demanded an inquiry into the rescue effort and how the bodies were buried. A very sad one there, and I hope that for the sake of the families, the writing is done so that the families can have the closure that they need. Not assuming, oh, well, my family or my man is or my woman is still alive, or oh, they made it to Italy or something of the sort. Well, so I believe that they will do the writing so that closure is found as well. It is Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Well, one other story from South Africa, and then we can bring the update from Africa to a close. Now, South African women rights group and sex workers demonstrated outside a Johannesburg court on Tuesday as a 21-year-old man appeared in connection with the discovery of 6 decomposed bodies believed to be those of sex workers. The man appeared in the dock with his face covered by a black cloth to hide his identity. He was arrested last week when police discovered the bodies at a car repair workshop in downtown Johannesburg while investigating the disappearance of one sex worker for who was allegedly last seen with a suspect. According to the police, some of the bodies were found with their hands tied, and they had evidently been in the building for a long period of time. The man is expected to take part in an identity lineup on Friday. The initial lineup was abandoned when a police officer assigned to conduct it was not available, according to prosecutors. How come he wasn't available? But you know, you get all this kind of crazy stuff going on when it comes to Africa and the justice system. It's all coming away from Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Well, in other parts of the world, Russia begins evacuation from Ukraine's south. And that's what the story is saying. The story says that, well, tens of thousands of civilians and Russian appointed officials are being moved out of Ukraine's southern Kherson region ahead of a Ukrainian offensive, says the Russian installed local leader Vladimir Saldo. Said 50 to 60,000 civilians will leave for 4 towns on the west bank of Dnieper River in an organized gradual displacement. Now, all Russian appointed departments in Kherson city will cross the river too. The Russian TV footage showed a number of people gathering near the Dnieper as they queued for boats. It was not clear how many were leaving. The transfer of deportation of civilians by an occupying power from occupied territory is considered a war crime. Now, Ukrainian presidential advisor Mikhailo Podolyak pointed out it was less than a month since Russia had held a ceremony to annex Kherson. Now, reality can hurt if you live in a fictional fantasy world. Now, later Monday, Russia's new military commander in Ukraine, General Sergei Surovikin, had described the situation in Kherson City, the regional capital, as difficult. A Russian-installed official, Kirill Stremtsov, warned Kherson residents that Ukrainian forces will launch an assault on the city in the very near future. No one is going to retreat, but we also want to save your lives. So please move as quickly as possible to the left bank, he added. Mr. Saldo, who was appointed governor of the region by Moscow, told Russian TV that no one was about to surrender, but it was undesirable for residents to remain in the city facing military action. In the past 2 days, more than 5,000 people have left Kherson, he was quoted as saying. Now, some crazy people who are egocentric, just continue because this one want to be the winner, this one want to fight on and stuff like that. Where would all this stop? Because the common people, those who are just going about their daily chores just to make ends meet for themselves and cater for themselves and their families, are being killed. To what end? Well, now let's move on to one story from Iran, and then I'll bring you to the UK front as well. A large crowd at Tehran airport greeted an Iranian sport climber who competed with a headscarf at a competition in South Korea, calling her a heroine without a headscarf. Now, Elnaz Rekabi, 33, broke Iran's strict dress code, but later said her hijab had fallen off inadvertently. Now, many are skeptical about the reason she gave in an Instagram post and repeated in a state TV interview at the airport, believing it was made under duress. Now, Iran is gripped by protests against the hijab law and its clerical leaders. Now, Iranian women are required to cover their hair with a headscarf and their arms and legs with loose clothing. Female athletes must also abide by the rules when they are officially representing Iran in competition abroad. Miss Rekabi flew in from South Korea before dawn on Wednesday, where she had been competing at the IFSC Asian Championship. Her family met her at the airport, where she was hugged and handed several bunches of flowers. She covered her hair with a black baseball cap and hoodie. All right then. Well. Reality has set in, right? Well, if you like my friends will say, if you like surfing, and then you will see. But it's all Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Now, let's come home to the UK. Let's look at some of the stories making the rounds. Up to 45 babies may have survived if they had received better care at East Kent NHS Hospital Trust. That is what a review has said today. Okay, let's look at the stories making the rounds here. The Foreign Secretary James Cleverly has said he cannot give people a certainty over how much their pensions will increase by next year. The state pensions were due to rise by about 10% in April 2023, which will take the weekly payment from 185 to 200. But the funding formula that guaranteed that rise, known as the triple lock, could be ditched to make savings. It comes as Liz Truss prepares to face MPs at the Prime Minister's question. It will be the first time the Prime Minister had faced questions from MPs since almost her entire economic program was scrapped by the new Chancellor Jeremy Hunt on Monday. She sat in silence on Tuesday as Mr. Hunt set out his plans in the Commons and ignored opposition calls to answer questions. The Prime Minister team think her engagement with MPs this week has been warm and improved her position. Now, Ms. Rice is still under immense pressure with her authority undermined after she abandoned her flagship policies. Now, one ally of the Prime Minister said she was determined to get on with the job, but at midday, her fight for survival will play out in public as she faces questions from Labour and her own backbenchers in Parliament. A poor performance at Prime Minister's Question Time could persuade more of mistrust MPs that they need to get rid of her sooner rather than later. What do you think is going to be? Especially when food prices have risen at its fastest rate to a 40-year high. Okay, now UK food prices are rising at the fastest rate in 42 years as the cost of living crisis continue to squeeze household budgets. Now, food costs jumped 14.6% in the year to September, the biggest rise since 1980, with bread, cereal, meat, and dairy prices all climbing. It comes as people also struggle with higher energy and transport costs. Now, overall inflation, the rate at which the UK price rises set to 10.1% last month and is expected to climb further. The prices of most key items in the average household's food shopping basket went up last month, including fish, sugar, fruit, and rice, the Office of the National Statistics has said. Now, experts say the rise in the cost of groceries had been accelerated by the war in Ukraine, which has disrupted grain, oil, and fertilizer supplies from the region. Food and drink prices have also been affected by the recent weakness in the pound, which has made important products and ingredients more expensive. So do you think the Prime Minister will be able to actually stand up in the Houses of Parliament to defend all this and all the U-turns that has been made? We live to see. But I find ourselves from the East Kent maternity death story. Now, up to 45 babies may have survived if they had received a better care at the East Kent NHS Hospitals Trust. A damning independent review has found. It found a clear pattern of suboptimal care that led to significant warm and families were not listened to. The medical expert reviewed an 11-year period from 2009 at two hospitals in Margate and Ashford. The Truth, which previously said it was determined to learn any lessons, have been heavily criticized by parents. The independent review, which was chaired by Dr. Bill Kirkup, CBE, added that the trust had given the appearance of covering up the scale and systemic nature of its problems. Now, and it found that there was no evidence to convince us that this cycle has ended. Investigators said the trust wrongly took comfort from the fact that most births at East Kent ended with no damage to mother or baby, and they found harm was not just restricted to physical damage, and there was repeated lack of kindness and compassion even in the aftermath of injuries and deaths. Now, Dr. Kirkup's team also found gross failure of team working across the trust maternity services, with some staff acting as if they were responsible for separate fiefdoms, cultivating a culture of tribalism. Well, this is where I bring the first bit of the program to a close. But let me say good morning still to Shamsuddin Oladipopo. So God bless you, Nation. Yes, and it goes on and on. God bless you all. God bless you too. Koni Baje Fun Bogbo Yin Ho. I hope I pronounce it well. But wherever you are, thank you very much. I'm going to take you to the House of Parliament for the Prime Minister's Question Time this evening, exactly at 18 hours. We're going to be having Mr. Olayomi Koiki joining in to bring you the Niger Voices, where we're going to be looking at the justice system. What happens after the court have ruled that all charges leveled against Nnamdi Kanu should be dropped, and they still holding him? What is going on? Do the governors of the Southeast, the Biafran governors, are they going to be doing something about it? Are they going to say let him come? And if they say no, what are supporters of the IPOB going to do now? Well, this and a lot more are going to be happening this evening, exactly at 18 hours BST. Okay, so that is GMT +1. Okay, so make sure your dials are logged on Star Radio UK. On that note, let me say thank you to each and every one of you for joining us today. We'll be back tomorrow morning with another edition of the morning show. But for now, let's take a quick break, and once I come back, I'll bring you the Prime Minister's question time. Stay tuned.
Hi guys, this is your friend Uruj from SendWave. SendWave is a money transfer app that is used by people all over the world to send money to their loved ones in Africa. With SendWave, you can send money to Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And the best part is, SendWave is absolutely commission free. Our exchange rates are excellent. You can see for yourself by checking them out on our website. So how do you use SendWave? SendWave is an app that you can download onto your phone from the App Store or Google Play Store. The app is free to download. After downloading it, just open the app and enter your name, email, and phone number. That's it. You're good to go. Make sure you use the promo code SR. S for Star, R for Radio. This promo code will give you £5 free credit to send to Africa on your first transaction. Your money will be delivered to your recipient within seconds. Feel free to call me on 0749 7377 647 at any time. I'll be happy to tell you all about SendWave and help you in any way I can. Remember to use the promo code SR for £5 free credit. Medasse.
Hi everyone, it's your girl BB Clement, the author of How to Go From Employee to Entrepreneur and the host of your weekly business show, BB Means Business, the show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Star Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
Getting onto the property ladder has never been easy until now. Join us this and every Thursday from 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. live on the Property Hour show on Star Radio UK, where we talk to mortgage brokers, property developers, estate agents, landlord, tenant, property consultants on how to invest or get into the property business and make money. You can't afford to miss this. The Property Hour show is your best source into the property industry.
Are you looking for the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy door-to-door shipment company? Well, look no further. When was the last time your family received a shipment back in Ghana on time and in time? You are not sure? Well, Lamb Shippers, we pride ourselves with being the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy shippers you can use. You are
that Labour are putting onto the floor today, and there is talk about Graham Brady indicating to the Prime Minister that he is setting a higher threshold for a potential confidence vote. Now, she should be protected from a confidence vote for a year as new Prime Minister. Under the traditional rules, you have to have 15% of the parliamentary party, that's 54 MPs, writing to the chair of the backbench committee to say that he wants a confidence vote. Let's listen in.
This House, I shall have further such meetings later today.
Justin Matters. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. When the penny dropped for the Prime Minister on Monday and she realised that her budget was responsible for crashing the economy, she should have come to this House to explain herself and to apologise to the millions of people who will now be paying hundreds of pounds extra a month on their mortgages because of her mistakes. But now she's here, can she tell us, given the absolute chaos her government has created, why the Chancellor lost his job but she kept hers?
Mr. Speaker, I have been very clear that I am... Mr. Speaker, sorry and that I have made mistakes. But the right thing to do in those circumstances is to make changes, which I've made, and to get on with the job and deliver for the British people. And Mr. Speaker, we've delivered the energy price guarantee, we've helped people this winter, and I will continue to do that.
Lawrence Robertson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Does the Prime Minister agree with me that local people and local councils are best placed to decide how many houses they need and where those houses should go? And if she does, will she end the top-down approach to housing targets and reduce or preferably remove the powers of the planning inspectorate?
Prime Minister.
Well, my honourable friend is absolutely right. We will abolish the top-down housing targets. Mr. Speaker, we want decisions about homes, about infrastructure, driven by local people, not driven by Whitehall. And that's why we're setting up new, locally driven investment zones.
We now come to the Leader of the Opposition, Keir Starr.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. A book is being written about the Prime Minister's time in office. Apparently, it's going to be out by Christmas. Is that the release date or the title?
Prime Minister.
Well, Mr. Speaker, I have been in office for just under 2 months, and I have delivered the energy price guarantee, making sure that people aren't paying £6,000 bills this winter. I've reversed the national insurance increase, and I've also taken steps, and we will be taking steps, to crack down on the militant unions. Now, what, Mr. Speaker? I think, Mr. Speaker, that is more of a record of action than the honourable gentleman in his 2.5 years in the job.
Mr. Speaker, last week the Prime Minister ignored every question put to her. Instead, she repeatedly criticised Labour's plan for a 6-month freeze on energy bills. This week, the Chancellor made it her policy. How can she be held to account when she's not in charge?
Well, Mr. Speaker, our policy is to protect the most vulnerable for 2 years. But I had to take the decision, because of the economic situation, to adjust our policies. I am somebody who's prepared to front up. I'm prepared to take the tough decisions. Unlike the honourable gentleman, who hasn't done anything on businesses, he's done nothing to say he'll protect people after 1 year. He's got no plan.
Here's Starmer.
Mr. Speaker, last week the Prime Minister stood there and promised absolutely no spending reductions. They all cheered. This week, the Chancellor announced a new wave of cuts. What's the point of a Prime Minister whose promises don't even last a week?
Prime Minister.
Well, I can assure the right honourable gentleman that spending will go up next year and it will go up the year after. But of course, we need to get value for taxpayers' money. The Labour Party has pledged hundreds of billions of spending pledges, none of which they've retracted. The honourable gentleman needs to reflect the economic reality in his policies.
Mr. Speaker, those spending cuts are on the table for one reason and one reason only, because they crashed the economy. And working people are going to have to pay 500 quid more a month on their mortgages. And what's the Prime Minister's response? To say she's sorry. What does she think people will think and say? That's all right, I don't mind financial ruin. At least she apologised.
Prime Minister.
I do think there has to be some reflection of economic reality from the party opposite. The fact is that interest rates are rising across the world, and the economic conditions have worsened. And we are being honest We're levelling with the public, unlike the honourable gentleman who simply won't do it. And what is the honourable gentleman doing about the fact that train workers are again going on strike? The fact is he refuses to condemn the workers. We are bringing forward policies. Mr. Speaker, we are bringing forward policies that are going to make sure our railways are protected, people going to work are protected. He backs the strikers, we back the strivers.
Mr. Speaker, she's asking me questions because we're a government in waiting and they're an opposition in waiting. There's no getting away from this. Millions of people are facing horrendous mortgage repayments. And she's admitted it's her fault. She shouldn't have conducted an economic experiment on the British public. But it's not just her. They put her there. They're keeping her there. Why on earth would anyone trust the Tories with the economy ever again?
Well, I notice, Mr. Speaker, he's not actually objecting to a single economic policy that the Chancellor announced on Monday. He's refusing to condemn the strikers. We're on the side of working people. We're going to legislate to make sure we keep our railways open. The honourable gentleman refuses to do anything.
Here's Starr. Mr. Speaker, the only mandate she's ever had is from members opposite. It was a mandate built on fantasy economics and it ended in disaster. The country's got nothing to show for it except the destruction of the economy and the implosion of the Tory party. I've got the list here. 45p tax cut, gone. Corporation tax cut, gone. 20p tax cut, gone. 2-year energy freeze, gone. Tax-free shopping, gone. Economic credibility, gone. And her supposed best friend, the former Chancellor, he's gone as well. They're all gone. So why is she still here?
Mr. Speaker, I am a fighter and not a quitter. I have acted in the national interest to make sure that we have economic stability.
Prime Minister, order. Order. I'm going to hear the Prime Minister. I suggest that all members need to hear the answer. Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I am a fighter and not a quitter. We have delivered on the energy price guarantee. We've delivered on the energy price guarantee. We've delivered on national insurance. We are going to deliver to stop the militant trade unions disrupting our railways. The honourable gentleman has no idea, he has no plan, and he has no alternative.
James Grundy. Just sit down. Sit. Can I just say, he's obviously the more popular choice. Come on, James Grundy. You've got a future.
Would my right honourable friend congratulate Lee Centurion's rugby league team on their recent promotion to Super League, bringing millions to the local economy, and furthermore, would she also guarantee that our excellent women's Euros team, including Ella Toon from my constituency, Tilsley, will receive the number 10 reception that they so deserve?
Prime Minister.
Well, I join my honourable friend in congratulating the Lee Centurions on their return to the Super League. I had the huge privilege of meeting the Lionesses last week, a fantastic team who won a major tournament for us. We will host the Downing Street reception as soon as their training programme makes them available.
I look forward to Rugby League invite as well. Let's now come to the leader of the SNP, Ian Black.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. After 10 U-turns in 2 weeks, we're left with a Prime Minister in office but not in power. And families are paying through the teeth for her mistakes. Her latest broken promise has put pensioners in the front line of Tory cuts. So, can the Prime Minister perhaps turn to her Chancellor right now, get permission to make another U-turn and commit to raising the state pension at the rate of inflation?
Prime Minister.
I honestly don't know what the honourable gentleman is talking about, because we have been clear in our manifesto that we will maintain the triple lock, and I am completely committed to it. So is the Chancellor.
Well, Mr. Speaker, it's no surprising that the Prime Minister's approval ratings are collapsing with an answer like that. The worst polling result for any Prime Minister in history. She's just thrown 12 million pensioners under the Tory bus. And it's not just pensioners feeling the pain. In the last week alone...
I also want to hear Mr. Blackford.
Mr. Speaker, it's not just pensioners feeling the pain. In the last week alone, inflation has risen to a 40-year high. Mortgage rates are at the highest level since the financial crash. And people's energy bills are about to rise to more than £5,000. Can the Prime Minister answer one simple question? Why does she expect everyone else to pay the price for her failure?
Prime Minister.
I don't think the honourable gentleman can take yes for an answer. I've been clear we are protecting the triple lock on pensions. And if the honourable gentleman is concerned about the economy, why does he continue to advocate for separatism, which will plunge the Scottish economy into chaos?
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Over the last couple of years, thousands of homes have been proposed or built in Birmingham Northfield constituency, which puts a huge strain on GP and dentist appointments. Would my right honourable friend, the Prime Minister, agree with me that more needs to be done in the planning process to make sure that when we have large-scale developments, we have more capacity in those vital services?
Prime Minister.
Well, my honourable friend is absolutely right. When we build new houses, we need to make sure there are GP surgeries, schools, infrastructure, and that's why we're introducing a new infrastructure levy to make sure more of the money from developers goes on supporting local communities.
Ed Davey.
Mr. Speaker, millions of family carers have been forced to cut back on food and heating. One told Carers UK, "My son is incontinent. If we don't wash him in warm water several times a day, this will cause him to physically decline." So how do we pay for the gas to heat the water if we are currently at max budget? Vulnerable people and carers are struggling enough already in this cost of living crisis, Mr. Speaker. So will the Prime Minister guarantee that support for the vulnerable, including carers allowance, will rise by at least today's inflation rate of 10.1%?
Prime Minister.
People are struggling. It is difficult at the moment. That's why we put in place the energy price guarantee to make sure the typical household isn't paying more than £2,500. It's why we've supplied an extra £1,200 of support to the most vulnerable. And I can assure the right honourable gentleman, we will always support the most vulnerable. They will be our priority.
Hey Jones.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Brecon and Radnorshire has a proud military footprint. Not least the Cambrian Patrol exercise, which I visited last week. It is considered the Olympic gold medal in infantry training, attracting teams from across the world to compete in a 60-kilometre march over 2 days in the Brecon Beacons. Will the Prime Minister join me in congratulating all those who took part, not least the team of Gurkha soldiers from the Infantry Battle School in Brecon who took home a coveted gold medal, further cementing Brecon's special place in the UK Armed Forces?
I join my honourable friend in thanking everybody at Brecon Barracks who organises the exercise Cambrian Patrol each year. It is a world-class training exercise, and I congratulate Brecon's Gurkha soldiers for their fantastic achievement of a gold medal. Well done.
Dr. Philippa Whitford.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. It took just 5 working days for the Prime Minister to crash the pound, damage pension funds and send people's mortgage costs spiralling. Her new Chancellor may have reversed almost all of her policies, but the damage has been done and we now face yet another round of Tory cuts and austerity. So I'd like to ask the Prime Minister and those sitting behind her, why is she still at the dispatch box? And when will voters get their say on this disastrous government?
Prime Minister.
We are facing very, very difficult economic times. I took the decision I had to in the interest of economic stability. And what is important is we work together, including with the SNP, to get through this winter and grow the economy.
David Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Prime Minister is to be commended for securing the passage of the Northern Ireland Protocol Bill through this House without amendment before the summer recess. Can she confirm that it's the government's intention that the bill should remain unamended, and in particular that the European Court of Justice should have no jurisdiction in any part of the United Kingdom?
Prime Minister.
I am completely committed to the Northern Ireland Protocol Bill. It deals with the very specific issues we face in Northern Ireland, the free flow of trade, and also making sure that the people of Northern Ireland are able to benefit from being part of the United Kingdom. And I can tell my honourable friend that any negotiations will reflect the same position that is in the Protocol Bill.
Dame Hillier.
Mr. Speaker, we understand that this afternoon's vote on fracking is deemed a confidence vote in the Prime Minister. Can she give us any reason why her own backbenchers or anyone in this country can have confidence in her after her policies have caused chaos in the markets and wrecked the economy?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, we do face very difficult economic times. I have been honest about the mistakes I have made. But what I don't apologise for is the fact that we have helped households through this winter, through the energy price guarantee, the fact that we've reversed the national insurance rise, and the fact we are taking action to get our railways running rather than being disrupted by the militant trade unions she supports.
John Barron.
Mr. Speaker, there's been a number of low points recently, including the Republic of Ireland's football team singing pro-IRA songs in the changing room. We should never forget the sacrifice of those who paid the price to maintain the peace during the Troubles. Closer to home, recent events meant that spending is going to be more constrained than originally thought. May I encourage the Prime Minister to ensure that we retain compassion in politics in these decisions, including maintaining the link between benefits and inflation. Will she do that?
Prime Minister.
We are compassionate Conservatives. We will always work to protect the most vulnerable, and that is what we did with the energy price guarantee. We are going to make sure the most vulnerable are protected into year 2, and I'm sure the Chancellor has heard my honourable friend's representations on the contents of the medium-term fiscal plan.
Stuart Malcolm MacDonald.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, like the public at large, I've supported the government in terms of the actions it has taken to support Ukraine, not least because of what's at stake there. But right now, in order to maintain that support, as the public deals with rising prices, inflation, mortgage costs and much else, Ukraine fatigue is a real and present danger. And I'm afraid to say to the Prime Minister, she is now an active driver against that public support that has so unified many of us, that has so unified many of us to do what needs to be done. So in a time where resolve in support of Ukraine needs to be steeled, will she make sure that she commits from the dispatch box that the economic and military and political support won't be another casualty under this Prime Minister?
It was one of my first acts in office to make sure the military support we give to Ukraine is equal to the military support we gave this year. We must make sure Ukraine win. They can win, they will win, and they must win.
Mr. Speaker, I would like to thank the Prime Minister for sticking by her words and giving communities in Fylde the final say on fracking. But as always, the devil is in the detail. Can the Prime Minister assure me that local consent will be measured independently and transparently, and under no circumstances will fracking companies be directly engaged in assessing local consent? And if people in Fylde say no, that view and that decision will be respected and acted upon by this government?
Well, I very strongly agree with my honourable friend. I know this is something he cares deeply about. I can assure him that we will consult on the robust system of local consent, give clear advice on seismic limits and safety before any fracking takes place. And the consultation will consider all of the relevant people, the regional mayors, the local authorities and parishes, as well as the concerns of those directly affected. And my right honourable friend, the Business Secretary, will be saying more about this later today.
Kate Osborne.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Privatisation does not work. It doesn't work for our NHS. We have another Amber Alert in the NHS Blood Service, a service that this week's Chancellor sold when he was Health Secretary. And it doesn't work for our Postal Service, with Royal Mail Group taking £758 million in profit last year, yet our universal service obligation is at risk. Workers' pay conditions and 10,000 jobs are at threat. Will the Prime Minister continue to let obscene amounts of profit be made while services are cut and stamp prices rise, or will she launch an inquiry into the gross mismanagement of Royal Mail?
Prime Minister.
What we need is an efficient postal service that delivers for people across this country, and that's what I'm focused on, not making ideological points.
Duncan Baker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. When I was in business, it was a real privilege to employ very many talented, bright young people. I always found that when you believed in somebody, when you gave them the opportunity, they went on to thrive in their career. That's why tomorrow in North Norfolk I'll be launching my new scheme, the 100 Apprenticeship Challenge, to drive 100 new apprenticeships all over a rural constituency. Would the Prime Minister please thank not just my DWP office and Julia Nix, who's been fantastic, the district councils, the county councils and an awful lot of stakeholders who worked for over 6 months to deliver this fantastic scheme to drive growth and jobs for young people across my constituency?
I do want to thank Julia and her team for the fantastic job they're doing, and also you as the local member of, my right honourable friend as the local member of Parliament. Apprenticeships are a fantastic way for people to learn and gain experience, and I'm proud that we've created 5.1 million apprenticeships since 2010.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister's Chief of Staff is in hot water after lobbying on behalf of a Libyan warlord and big tobacco. It turns out he's also lobbied for PPE giants Santé Global. Is it wise to have a lobbyist at the centre of Downing Street?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, all appointments in Downing Street are properly checked through the propriety and ethics process, and that is the way that we do it in a completely impartial way.
Andrew Mitchell.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. When my right honourable friend was Foreign Secretary, I know that she was acutely aware of the importance of British soft power acting in our national interest. Will she confirm today the promise we both made in 2010 when this government first came into office, that she will not balance the books on the backs of the poorest people in the world?
Minister.
Well, can I pay tribute to my right honourable friend for the fantastic work he did as International Development Secretary, and I am proud that we have rebalanced our international development budget to focus more on humanitarian aid and more on women and girls. And no doubt, more details will be set out in due course.
Sarah Owen.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The last Tory Prime Minister was forced out after a series of dodgy dealings and failing to take responsibility for any of it. So what's this Prime Minister getting the boot for? Her plan that crashed the economy, forcing fracking on communities who don't want it, or will she do the decent thing and go and call a general election?
I have taken responsibility and I have made the right decision in the interests of the country's economic stability.
Steve Bryan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Every single member in this House will have constituents waiting for treatment within the COVID backlog. The Health Secretary's priorities are absolutely right, including her B for tackling the backlogs. Can the Prime Minister reassure me that the government is committed to the series of elective hubs that we've promised, including at the Royal Hampshire County Hospital in my Winchester constituency?
Prime Minister.
Well, my right honourable friend, the Health Secretary, has set out her plans to deliver on dealing with the COVID backlog, and she will continue to work on that and make sure we deal with what was a massive pandemic, creating a backlog. We will deal with it.
Bernie Gardner.
Since the mini-budget, thousands of my constituents have been in mental anguish and despair. I recognise that the Honourable Lady has faced a week of mental anguish and despair herself. She has had people angry with her, she's had people who have mocked her. But having had that experience, what will she now do to improve the healthcare, the mental health care for people in this country, so that the anguish that they face in the coming months is properly responded to and dealt with?
My right honourable friend, the Health Secretary, has set out a very clear plan of how we're going to deal with the backlog created by COVID, how we're going to make sure people get timely GP appointments, and how we're going to improve on the services in our hospitals, including mental health services.
Waitley.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The government is facing tough choices, but people living with dementia face unlimited care costs, and that is not a choice. Can my right honourable friend assure me that she is committed to social care reform to end that worry and relieve pressure on the NHS?
Prime Minister.
Yes, we are committed to social care reform. We do need to deal with those issues.
Greasy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's always better to see a Prime Minister at her desk rather than underneath it. And now that she's here, I wonder if she could tell us why next week this House will be discussing legislation that will abolish vital protections on pension payouts. It will abolish our right to watch the Olympics free of charge and airline consumer laws. How is any of the retained law bill in the British interest?
Prime Minister.
Well, Mr. Speaker, I think we have yet another example of somebody who doesn't want to support the British public's decision to leave the European Union in 2016. Isn't it quite incredible, Mr. Speaker, that 6 years after people voted to leave the European Union, there are people who object to taking EU law off our statute books. Now, I'm a Democrat. I respect what British people voted for. I suggest the Right Honourable Lady does the same.
Richard Graham.
Mr. Speaker, 30 years ago, the Westminster Foundation for Democracy was created out of the war in Bosnia so that democracies could flourish and freedom and prosperity come with it. This evening, in your rooms, we celebrate that anniversary by hearing directly from our country representative in Ukraine, from the chair of the Taiwanese Foreign Affairs Committee, and the leader of the opposition in Uganda. A good example of the range of contacts that this great cross-party body funded by government is working with. Can I ask the Prime Minister if she agrees that this is a vital contribution by our government and our people to democracy around the world, and will she encourage members around the House to join us this evening?
Prime Minister.
Well, the Westminster Foundation for Democracy does a fantastic job, and I think we know from what has happened in Ukraine, the appalling war perpetrated by Vladimir Putin, just how precious democracy is and how much we need to do to work with our friends and allies to protect democracy around the world. And I do encourage colleagues from all sides of the House to attend the event tonight.
That now completes Prime Minister's questions. I'll let the House clear.
Well, the House is clearing at the end of Prime Minister's questions. Lots to discuss. Let's bring in our political editor, Beth Rigby. I mean, first of all, Beth, there's the to and fro between her and Keir Starmer, but also, quite crucially, what appears to be a divergence of policy between her and her Chancellor.
So it started off as the main story of this PMQs being the exchanges between Starmer and her, the leader of the opposition, with this kind of mix of mockery and contempt for the Prime Minister, who for her part said, "I am a fighter," actually borrowing Peter Mandelson's line there. But she was really in fighting form there, trying to put in a good performance. But the bombshell in that chamber was her response to a question on uplifting or maintaining the pensions triple lot. This is when pensions rise in line with inflation, if that's the highest of three areas where you might lift it by. But essentially it's like, will you lift pensions, will you uprate them with inflation? Now, Jeremy Hunt clearly said on Monday that he would not commit to this policy. He said, "I'm not making any specific commitments on spending until October the 31st. He explicitly ruled it out in an interview with me where I explicitly asked. He explicitly ruled it out in the Commons. The Prime Minister has stood up there and has overruled her Chancellor. She has said in the Commons that it was a manifesto commitment. It was a pledge she made when she was trying to be leader. And she has said clearly there on the floor of the Commons, I am committed to uprating with inflation pensions. Now, there's a couple of things going on there. One, she's facing a backbench rebellion on this issue. A number of MPs have already come out publicly saying this was a manifesto commitment, it was a promise you made when you were leader, you cannot undo it. So she knew she had a political battle. But the issue is that she brought Jeremy Hunt in order to steady the ship, calm the markets. He took control of tax and spend decisions quite clearly on Monday, and the Prime Minister there at the dispatch box has publicly overruled him. Now, I've got so many questions on that. Does he agree with her? If he doesn't, how will he react? Will this unnerve the markets that the Prime Minister is again making policy on the hoof that she might have to U-turn on? She's done another U-turn on a U-turn. And so the reason that this is politically really interesting is that she needs Jeremy Hunt in order to have any credibility at all of staying in number 10, and she has just publicly overruled him in the Commons, and I'm very interested to see how Jeremy Hunt and the Treasury react to that. Now, maybe he was fine with that, but that was not what he said 48 hours ago, and hasn't the story of this government in terms of the market turmoil and the voter dissatisfaction being about saying one thing, doing another, saying one thing, doing another? And the Prime Minister has just done that again when Jeremy Hunt said, I'm making no specific tax and spend commitments until the fiscal statement on October the 31st. She just blew that up.
Well, indeed, and that contradicted something she'd said about no more spending cuts last week, which again, he absolutely ruled out 3 days later on the Friday.
And so if you are, that's exactly right, Jade. So if you're a Conservative MP, you have a Prime Minister that says things at the dispatch box. Is there any credibility at all in what she says? Why is she undermining what was set up in order to be an attempt to stabilise things? And I think that there's a question for me, certainly, like, was that an agreed decision. James Cleverly, her Foreign Secretary, was on Sky News this morning refusing to commit to that policy. And that's another element of this, Jane. If you're a Prime Minister and you're very embattled, as she clearly is, you need your cabinet to back you. Because if one of them decides that they're going to stand down, that's when it could trigger the flood of resignations. And that's what happened, you'll remember, with Boris Johnson. Sajid Javid went, Rishi Sunak went, and that was the tipping point, and the herd moved. And then he was gone by Thursday morning that week, okay? So the question I've got is, James Cleverly has just been contradicted hours later by the Prime Minister. Jeremy Hunt has just been contradicted by the Prime Minister. Did she get an agreement, or is she just trying to overrule her Chancellor? And if she is, what's the backlash going to be? I don't know the answers, it's just happened, but my analysis would be that that could be a real hot potato for her. Let's see I'm very interested to see how Jeremy Hunt reacts to that.
Fascinating times. Well, ahead of Prime Minister's questions, we spoke to a panel of voters in Bridgewater in Somerset, Conservative voters in the Conservative heartlands, a true blue constituency that's voted Conservative for decades. Well, let's return there now, and our West of England correspondent, Dan Whitehead. Dan, what kind of response has there been?
Yeah, well, we had our panel watching in our sat truck PMQs throughout that half an hour. Let's get that instant reaction. We are joined back by the panel now. Evelyn Wilton, you are a mobile hairdresser. You've just been watching Liz Truss. She says she is a fighter, not a quitter. Are you convinced?
No, not at all, no. I just don't trust her one bit. She's just going around in a circle, and she's just always got an answer for everything.
She was trying to reassure the Commons, her party, the voters, that she's still in control. How did you feel that went?
No, I don't think she's still in control. I don't feel that she is.
Really? You didn't get any of the answers that you wanted to reassure you then?
No.
Okay, well, let's chat with Alan Jeffrey, a retired secondary school teacher and a pensioner. Alan, we heard there a commitment there on the triple lock pension, committed to that manifesto commitment. Does that come as welcome news for you, and how are you feeling about her performance?
I think it is very useful for those pensioners who really do need it, but there are an awful lot of pensioners who don't necessarily need that. The real people who really need the support are the working class people who aren't pensioners, don't have a pension, and they're having rising prices of their rents, the food costs, their travelling costs, and trying to support their families.
Watching her, how did you feel that performance went?
It was very robotic, and she keeps on repeating the same old statements, which are just words. There's no real actions that she can really do from those words.
Looking at the front bench there, do you feel it's a unified cabinet, a unified government?
Certainly not. There is all sorts of problems all through her government. It's a completely divided Tory party. It's time that we just got rid of them after their 12 years of mismanagement of the economy, mismanagement of our public services. It's time we had a fresh start, and an election really should be on the way to get rid of the mismanagement of this that's carried on this democracy.
You want an election, Alan. Let's bring in a third member who watched the whole of PMQs with us. Our previous guest had to leave, but we were joined now by Claudette Tinsley. You're in your 30s, you're on a graphic design business. Claudette, you were with us watching PMQs. Your initial reaction after a turbulent few weeks on how the Prime Minister dealt with that?
I think she has pretty flimsy promises to offer. They seem to be U-turning, and if you turn around enough, you're going in circles. I think that whatever she says now can change next week. It's changed every couple of days.
So it's a trust issue for you?
Yes, but also their record. They've been in power for 12 years, and they've been given enough chances. They say, "Oh, give her a chance," or "Give this person a chance." But even if they replaced her, they've been given multiple chances repeatedly, and they don't finish their terms. They just swap out the next leader and hope for a fresh start. But
what could you hope that the current Prime Minister does in the next 2 years before an election, or sooner, to convince you that they're in control?
I don't think that they can do anything that would make me believe them, because they've said so many things and have had to U-turn. It's an incredible amount of U-turns. They don't keep their promises, and even the ones that they keep, they don't seem to be popular at all, really. And then they have to make decisions that, by popular demand, against their original promises, such as the help with the energy, that she wasn't leading on that when she was going for her leadership, and then as soon as she got in, she had to say, oh yes, we'll help with energy, but it's reluctantly done, so I don't believe whatever she says.
Okay. Evelyn, let's just come back to you quickly. Liz Truss talked about there the reiteration on the promise to have that energy price cap.
Yeah.
Everyone's seeing their bills going up. As someone who runs a mobile business and also a home with family members, is it enough for you to say, let's just give the government another chance?
No, I don't think so. No. With the electric, people are cutting back, they're economising, and they're keeping their electric off as long as they can.
And that's something you're having to...
Yeah, that's what I'm doing, because I don't want to pay that. It's out of principle as well. Why should we have to pay those extortionate prices in the first place? So, keep it off as long as you can. If it means putting blankets over you and jumpers on, then do that.
You were a Boris backer previously.
Yeah.
There's been lots of talk about that, isn't there? I mean, what do you want to happen next? Because a lot of people say we can't go through another leadership
Well, I think
contest.
they should do another vote, a vote for the public, another, because an
election.
Yeah, if they can, another election. I know they can only do that every 4 years, isn't it? So
well, that's changed. But would you like a general election? Is that what you want now?
Yeah, another general election. Let the public get their votes in and decide.
And Alan, is that the only answer in your opinion? I know that's something you've supported, but it sounds like that not enough has been done in your opinion.
Well, this disastrous government over the last 12 years sort of thing has got us into the situation. It's time to have a real refreshment of policies and the way we're really going to try and support the working people of this country, the people who keep the country going, not the privatised companies that send all the profits from this country abroad.
And just, Claudette, just lastly, interested to know, as a young person, what the big challenges out here in a rural constituency are. What is your top priority for the government and Liz Truss in the time that they've got?